Hey, Seminole State family. OER can be an absolute game changer for your academic journey, and we are about to show you how. Let's go. Hello, Seminole State family. It's Nicole from the library. It's Wednesday. It's 4 p.m. We're doing Research Rally. And with me, of course, is
Ross. Yes, I am also a librarian here with Nicole.
Right? I have the little mirror on my thing, so I forget where I am. So today, we are talking about OER. So maybe you know what OER is. Maybe you don't. We're going to talk about what it is, how to get to it, how it can affect your academic journey in a positive way, for sure. And, you know, we're always talking about experts here on Research Rally every Wednesday at 4 p.m., right? And today I was like, well, Ross will be here. What's Ross?
Ross will be here.
And what's Ross an expert in? OER. Now, you're on some committees at the college for OER. Is this right? So let's set you up as the authority on this topic, or a authority on this topic today, Ross.
Sure. Yeah, I do a lot with OER here at the college. I guess I'm officially the OER librarian around here. We're working with a committee right now with a group of professors who are building these open courses using OER. So it's something that we talk a lot about in education, but I don't know how often that filters down to the student level on this stuff. So that's what I was hoping we could talk about today.
Yes, absolutely. We're definitely going to talk about what students should know about it. So yes, Ross works with OER, knows all about it. So let's start out with literally what does it stand for? And if you are watching today live and you've heard of OER or you maybe used OER before, let us know in the chat if you've heard about it. Also, let us know if you're an FYE student, you're a professor for your FYE course.
Yeah, so let's talk about what that means. Open educational resources. So basically what it is it's open access information. Now, jumping all the way back there to what is open access information? It's information that was created for a purpose, right? To be used by other people, right? It's free of copyrights. It gives permission to others to use that information. And here at the college, when we talk about open access information, usually we're talking about it in the context of teaching materials. So this is a conversation I often have with professors who, when we talk about OER, we're looking for class readings or videos to use or textbooks at times. So as a student, you may not even really hear that term OER too often, but you probably are experiencing it in some form or fashion as you go through your education here.
Yeah, because you have to buy textbooks and other materials for class. But the whole idea here is can experts in the field of if it's a psychology class, people that have a psychology PhD, professors, academics, can they produce materials for psychology classes that will cost the students no money? Now, sometimes can OERs cost a little bit of money, or does it strictly by definition no cost to the student?
Typically, you hear traditional OER is at no cost to the student. There are different initiatives out there. I see it a lot through colleges, and where what they'll do is they just try to reduce the cost to a certain dollar figure. I've seen your classes won't cost more than $50, and they kind of consider that OER adjacent type materials there. But the big purpose behind it is really to reduce the cost to you as a student. And at the same time, it's also helping with some outcomes that we have as educators, right? All the students have the materials on the first day of class, so nobody's left out. And it creates this equitable situation where nobody's, what's the right word for it? Nobody's at a disadvantage by having find this
Yeah.
text.
Because sometimes I've talked to students and worked with students that they're in a position where just by virtue of the system of ordering textbooks and, there's a lot of different layers to it. So I don't want to point fingers, but just by virtue of the system that's in place, sometimes you can order the book ahead of like the first day of class or the first day you have class. And then it might not come in for weeks after.
Exactly.
And you're at a disadvantage. But with the OER, if the professor they already have it, it's not under a lock and key per se, where you have to purchase it from a publisher through the college bookstore. That's just one system that's in place. So if OER is so awesome, why is it not and the cost-free textbooks for students? Why is it not in every class? Why is not every professor using it? Ross,
well, so I mean, there's a lot of considerations here when we have these. We'll talk about textbooks today. The textbook publishers out there, the traditional ones that publish the paper copies on it, they have a degree of authority on the content in the sense that they have a lot of editors and a lot of experts who vet the materials, and they often bundle it with other teaching materials, or you've probably seen your math labs and those kinds of things that come bundled with the textbooks. So there are real reasons that you may need to use like a publisher produced book, but it's gaining more and more momentum. Particularly here at Seminole State, there's a figure I love to brag about that we are
mentioned this.
Out of the entire state of Florida with colleges and universities, we have the fourth most classes that have no textbook cost, and it's over 200 now. It's pretty awesome. So you may be in a class that doesn't have a textbook right now, that the class content is really your weekly readings and all. So you may be already doing this without even realizing it. You know what? If you are in first year experience class, which I venture you are using an open access materials there. What we did with that class is we took an OER textbook and we adapted it to make it more Seminole State focused. And that's what we use as the class reading there. So yes, of course, like everyone has experienced this now, at least on that level.
Okay. But again, because of the existing and long-standing institution of place that's in place, and it's been in place for a long time, of like traditional publishers publishing material, and then and students ordering it through the college bookstores. Okay, because if you're watching this and you're not at Seminole State, it could be a different vendor. But I mean, it's a similar system that's very common.
Oh, of course, yeah.
Because of that system, and also because we talk about information creation as a process a lot on Research Rally and at the library in general. It takes time and effort, right? Like every professor can't just decide, oh, I've got a few weeks left before the next semester, I'm just going to make an OER textbook for my next few classes first summer semester. It's not the snap of a finger. It takes a lot of time, right? So that's one reason why it's not in every class.
I mean, the professors I'm working with right now, we are working over this entire semester to produce a course that does not have those textbook costs to it. So it's taking us 16 weeks to do this, right? And even then, when we're done, we might not have it fully fleshed out, and that's okay, because this, like Nicole just said, it's a process. It takes a lot to build these books, a lot of editorial decisions as the professor and all that stuff.
Yeah.
So by the end of this, we'll have a complete product for it there.
Okay.
And many classes have already done that.
Wonderful. We want more and more, right? Because we're hearing the financial benefit. There is a financial benefit to students from OERs, open educational resources. But in your opinion, do you have evidence or argument for how OERs can actually positively affect students' educational?
Oh, sure. Yeah, absolutely. There's lots of evidence out there. I don't have those studies pulled up at the moment, but there's a lot of research that shows that students tend to stay enrolled in classes longer when they don't have to compete for those extra costs on it. There's a lot of evidence that suggests that students just do better when they're not like struggling with a textbook and the publisher content, when the professors can kind of customize that experience a lot more. So yes, it's going to directly impact like your learning in the class there, because I think the professors have a lot more agency in how they design the materials. They're not teaching to the book, they're building the experience more in there. If that makes sense.
Oh, that totally makes sense because yes, everyone likes to like save money. We want to put our money towards other things or towards more classes, right? Saving money is great, but it's we're here to get an education, to learn, to build our professional selves for our future professional selves. So hey, if it helps us academically, that's a super bonus, right? So and getting the best results from what the professor can do, because like you said, they don't have to teach to a book that's kind of like doesn't quite fit. They can really mold it to their teaching style, to their approach to the material, per their subject expertise, and that's a great benefit. So now, speaking of how students at Seminole State in particular, now we might have viewers that are at other institutions, and you can look for similar tools in your course catalog at your institution. But here at Seminole State College of Florida, we have a way where you can search by course to find courses that have OER. And there's a different 3-letter acronym that it uses, right? So we have our acronyms and terminology here, but we're going to walk you through it. So Ross, I'm going to pop up your screen share.
Please. Yeah. So this is, I pulled up our Seminole State's bookstore here. This is Barnes & Noble's online bookstore. And if you're looking at classes, this is a really classic example of what you'll see in the course materials list here. If you run across a book that says, or I guess I should say a class that says no course materials required, that's a very good, a strong likelihood that you're probably going to be using some type of OER textbook for the class, right? That's how we communicate to the bookstore that they don't need to order anything for the class. When we teach Nicole and I, we both teach a research skills class throughout the year. And that's a class that has no course materials required. So we just report to the bookstore that we've got our own content built. And that's the agreement we have down there. So anytime you see that, that's what you're dealing with. In this particular example, I actually pulled up the book. This is the textbook that you'll be using in that class. If you take American history, I think pretty much every American history class now uses this book called The American Yawp. When we talk in OER world, this is a really good example of what a textbook can be. If you're just looking at this, it doesn't really look a whole lot different than any other textbook that you've ever dealt with. I mean, if you dig through this, you can see here, like they cover all the content and we can jump right to it. All of this is also authored by professors. We can dig through this and figure out who wrote this. In a lot of ways, a lot of these open textbooks aren't authored by one person. When you have a textbook like from McGraw-Hill or one of those big publishers, often they do work with one or two authors to write that book, and those authors are compensated for doing it here. Anybody who's contributing to these textbooks, there's not really a traditional way for them to be compensated. We try to do things at the college, maybe like giving them leave time, things like that. But what the idea here is that multiple people will contribute to this so that not one person has to write an entire book.
So it's instead, like open source.
Exactly, right. It's crowdsourced in a way.
A crowdsource. And a lot of our traditional textbooks do have multiple authors, but like as you're explaining, like the creation process is way more like regulated, or maybe like not as fluid and organic as it can be with an open source to open OER textbook, open educational resource textbook. I already noticed some of the language and like even the title and the subtitle seems a little bit different than what I would expect from a traditional textbook, which I'm saying different in a good way because maybe there can be some more creativity some more expression of
Mhm.
things like American Yop. I've never even heard that word.
I had never heard that either before this book came out. I thought it was pretty cool.
Okay, do we know what a Yop is? I'm gonna Google that right
I don't.
quick.
I
Do a
think I
little.
looked this up once and I don't remember here.
Okay.
But what's cool is
American
like you can see
Yop.
like this book has images and videos, and even the images and videos that they use in this book are all open access information. You can see here like this came from Wikimedia. Well, maybe you can't because that's really tiny, but it says it's from Wikimedia. Wikimedia is a collection of open source, content, images, photographs, that kind of stuff. And that's how these books get built. Here's something from the Library of Congress from 1749, which is very much in the public domain, which is another type of open access information. But the long and the short of it is this is a book just like any other textbook. It has quality control. In addition to a group of authors, there's also a group of editors who go through this, and they're all experts in this subject.
Okay, and that's something we expect to get from authoritative and credible knowledge is we want to see a collection of experts like chiming in, working together. And so we're still seeing that here. We're not losing that.
Absolutely.
Okay, so that's a good thing. By the way, yawp is a harsh or hoarse cry or yelp.
Ah, there you go.
So the American cry. So I turn off that light. I like how that's more creative. Like it's just different. I like how
there it is.
Open educational resources reflect some different viewpoints or again, creativity that we might not see in the traditional textbooks. I think that's a benefit. It allows for more voices, just more a different interpretation of things. I think that's good. I like that. So I did a grammar oopsie and I corrected it. Had you ever heard of OER before today? Oh, and then I missed a word. And a couple of our viewers said, no, not really. So that's cool.
Yeah, I don't think that concept gets trickled down to students very often. It's something we talk about, but I think it's important to know like what you're dealing with when you go into these classes because they are every bit as quality books as a book you would pay for, but they're just authored in a different way. They're produced with the intention of being free, and I think these are getting more and more common in education.
Okay, and Ross, do you have the catalog pulled up where we can show our students exactly? Did we already search for the ZTC code? I know you.
Oh no, I forgot about that too. I have that here.
Perfect. Yes. So
this
again, if you're a Seminole State student or a prospective or impending upcoming Seminole State student, we're going to show you where you can find courses that already have OERs.
So yeah, I pulled up. This is the Florida Shines course catalog. Maybe you're not familiar with this either, but this is a statewide catalog of every college class taught at a community college or a university in Florida. So as you could search for your courses here too, and just kind of survey what's out there. You can even kind of compare them with other schools. But what's really cool is if you pull up this is this is the same history class that we were just talking about. And if you look at it here, you'll see this little indicator down here for textbook costs. And we have a zero textbook cost indicator. So if you're ever searching in that platform for your courses there, you can very easily sort out only courses that don't have a cost to them. And I think that's pretty cool because you can see down here like what it's going to cost to take this class. So you'll know that there's, in this case here, the estimated materials cost would be $75, but we can see up here, there's actually no textbook cost for this. So you can kind of gauge your cost savings a little bit too.
Now, after spring break, when we get back from spring break, students' enrollment will open. Registration will open at the end of the month. And on the website, if you Google Rally to Register, it's going to open what date? Sunday, March
I think it's
31st. I'm sorry. Okay.
It's like Monday, the week after spring break, right?
Yes, Monday, March 26th, right after spring break. You can start registering for classes in Navigate. Okay. Also, just a heads up, that first week after spring break, you have until March 31st to apply for scholarships, okay, to help with your tuition costs. So the hardest part of that process is to write a short essay. That's probably the biggest lift. But hey, you have a whole week, or you could start now and get a head start on it. And when you click on that link to apply for scholarships, there's lots of different opportunities, but really all you need to do is sign in with your single sign-on, like your Canvas login, and check a few boxes that tell the application about yourself, things that we don't already know about you from being in our system and the back end, the private side of the system, and it'll match you up. Okay, so once again, write your essay, apply, you have one whole week, and when you go to Navigate to register for classes, I know we can't pull up Navigate from the student side, but we can show you the course catalog, right? Do you have that pulled up, Ross?
Yeah, there's a couple different course catalogs here.
Okay.
Let me go back to the one that I want to show you here. I guess I don't have it pulled up anymore. Oops. But I will. Okay,
again,
now I've got it.
ZTC, zero textbook cost, and OER are, those are kind of almost one and the same.
Yeah, they're the same thing here. But yeah, this is where you could search on the colleges page. And what I did was I just went to academics and then down to search courses. And you can filter out things by campus, by the format of the class. You can even say, just show me the classes that are still open so you don't see everything.
Yeah.
And when you look through there, that's where I found that course, that American history course, where it said that there's no textbook cost for it. So, I mean, like, we could do that in real time if you wanted to. We could go in here, and I was looking at American history, and I said I wanted the 1865. That's the first section of it here. Let's say, I wanted to see Dr. G's class. Oh, I can see right there, too. It said there are no textbook required, ZTC. Going into this that, like, you're off the hook of buying materials, right? They're going to provide you everything that you need to succeed in that class.
Can you search by ZTC here, though?
I don't know. I don't think I've ever tried, but let's try it right now. Let's see what happens. So if I go down here and, like, let's say, I want to search for courses. What happens if I do that? No, it didn't work. It only searches for the courses themselves. So you have to look up which classes you need. But if you see that indicator,
but when you pulled up the Shines website, that was kind of a different.
That's another way. You can't register through that system. It's just a way you can see all of the courses that are available.
But that would be a way to see, because can you limit by Seminole State College?
You can. What I did.
So this would be the quickest way to see a list of everything at Seminole State, because you can't really do that in our catalog, as evidenced by Ross just trying that out. So actually, if you went to Florida Shines, walk us through it, Ross.
So what I did, you could go in here I searched by my location. I just put in Lake Mary, Florida. And then here, what I did was I chose the indicator here for zero textbook cost. And I had already searched for American history in here. So it's showing me every American history class being taught in the summer semester that has no textbooks. And you can see which ones are still
within 10 miles of Lake Mary, Florida.
Yeah.
So that's how it was pulling up Seminole State. Okay. Nice.
Yeah, I don't know that you can search by institution specifically in here, but you can search by your location and see. I mean, I guess that's to allow you to see, like, what other options are out there. But, when you search in Lake Mary, we're going to be the only one within 10 miles. So that's the easy way to do it too.
Okay. So we've definitely thoroughly covered the OER textbook, the landscape of OER textbooks, thanks to Ross, our resident subject matter expert, again, our OER librarian. So Ross, I know there's some other areas that you've talked about before where people can find, or students can find open resources that they might have an interest in. What ranks at the top of your list if we have a few more minutes to show something else that would be of use to students?
So, here's what I think is important. Like, if we were to jump back here and look at that book that I had, that textbook, what you'll see at the bottom is there's a Creative Commons license. Now, Creative Commons is how we know stuff has been created with, open access in mind. because when you have a Creative Commons license, it tells you exactly how that information can be used. Now, for us as students here, it probably doesn't matter too much what that Creative Commons license is, but it tells me for sure that I could make my own modifications to it. There's lots of different Creative Commons licenses. There's 6 of them really, and they tell you all the different things you can do with it. So as an instructor, I like to look at that, because if it tells me I can't make any derivatives, that means I have to use it exactly as they've presented it. But if it doesn't say that, I could maybe even edit the material myself and make my own kinds of things. Now, what's really cool is you can even go into places like YouTube. And if you do a YouTube search, one of the options when you filter this is you can look for Creative Commons licensed material. And now I know every video that I see here gives me permission to use it however they tell me I can, but it's all created with that purpose. They want people to reuse this material. You can do the same thing in Google Images. Now, this is important because I get this question a lot, is can I just use any image I find online? And for a student project, probably yes. You have a lot of freedoms there. But when you go out into like the real world, you have your jobs and stuff. You can't just take any image off the internet. But when you use a Google Images search, they will also let you, sort it by, if you go to this tools category here, you can sort by usage rights and only sort to Creative Commons images. And now you know exactly how you can use these images. So if I was to make a website on my own, this is probably where I would look for images to use. So it's not a bad idea as a student when you're doing presentations to kind of get in that habit of just looking for Creative Commons license materials, because that's what you'll be using, whenever you need to make something professional or, going forward in your career.
Because the accountability piece, you want to make sure in your academic career, in your professional career, that you're not misusing material or basically doing something illegal, which you may have gotten away with it 100 million times in your undergrad or while you're here at Seminole State, just like pulling whatever image off the internet. Just because you don't get in trouble for something that's not allowed doesn't mean it's not wrong. So best practice would be, as Ross explained, getting Creative Commons materials and images. I mean, we're always grabbing images for things. So that's, I think, a very key piece. Yeah, definitely a good reminder for everybody. So, all right. Well, wow, Ross, thank you.
Wow.
I mean, I'm excited to see what happens. Like you said, you're on that committee. It's been working for a while, ramping up really the activity with producing OER for more and more classes. And that's great news for everybody, especially for students, for their wallet, their financial situation, and also their academic situation. Because again, like you said, that's like a real community of collaboration on these OER pieces, maybe even in a little bit better way than some of the more traditional textbooks. So it's definitely another product on the market. Hey, competition's good for products, right? They get better.
Sure.
All right. Well, I'm going to go ahead and grab, if you are watching and you need FYE credit, if you are in the IDS 1107 course, also known as, that's a really long link.
Oh, yeah. You could run it through a shortener and it'll work. Maybe I'll do that while we're talking.
Okay. There's also a QR. Okay, you want to run it through a shortener? What URL shortener do you use, Ross?
I have Tiny URL open right now, so I was going to see if that will work for me. But I'm not seeing it.
Okay.
Oh.
Also, usually, Jason's not here. Usually, this is Jason's job. So we're like, wait a minute, I forgot about that. That URL was really long.
It's really long.
It is super long. So don't click. You can't even click on that thing I put in the chat. You can also text us. And this is for the text line that's on the screen right now, 407-915-3614. That also is used for chat. So if you have reference questions, need help with research or citations, you can text that number and get reference help, research help, citations. But also, you can text it right now and let us know, hey, I'm in the FYE course. I want to get credit for watching today. So I'm going to put that in the chat.
My URL tool is taking forever. How embarrassing.
That's okay.
I
mean, this
is live
TV. We never know what's going to happen. Text us if you need FYE credit.
Okay, this should work, y'all.
All right. 5, 6, 4. And guess what? If that doesn't work, you can text us. Or if you want to make sure you have credit, go ahead and text us. If you want to just say hi, we're here 24/7. Not we, yes, but like somebody will answer your question 24/7.
But if you are logged into Raider Connect, I just checked, that link should work. It worked for me.
Wonderful. All right, so where is the mic?
Oh no, we got to get the outro.
Yeah. Sorry, we're a little slow on the, I don't know. Thank you so much for joining us today. If you have questions about OER, get in contact with us. If you text that number and say, hey, where's Ross at? Or where is Ross today? We'll get you connected with Ross because he can answer all your questions about OER. Sure. Thanks for joining us. We're here every Wednesday at 4 p.m. We have different topics, different guests. Check out our channel. Lots of videos on how to do research, how to pick keywords, all the kinds of library stuff. We are librarians. We are here to help you. There's no question too big or too small. If you need something, let us know. We're here to help you with your academic journey. And I think it's time for an outro. What do you say, Ross?
All right. Yeah, let's do it. Have fun.
Bye.
See you next time.
What is Research Rally?
Learn with librarians. Get campus info. Connect with your Seminole State family.
Every Wednesday at 4 p.m. at Seminole State Lab on YouTube.